There's a quiet tragedy woven through our days, a subtle choreography of omission and restraint. Most of us, from an early age, are taught the delicate art of concealment. This is not out of malice, but out of a well-meaning desire to fit in, to be liked, to be accepted. We learn to sand down the sharper edges of our personalities, to tuck away the quirks that set us apart, to mask the vulnerabilities or passions that might seem too much. The unspoken lesson is clear: to be loved, we must first be palatable. But in this act of constant self-editing, how much of ourselves do we leave behind? And at what cost do we pursue this elusive, conditional approval? Every day, we slip between versions of ourselves. There's the self we present to our friends, the self at work, the self we curate for family, for strangers, even for social media. Each context demands its own subtle performance. Sometimes these performances are minor acts. Be that a shift in tone, a withheld opinion, a smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. Other times, they are profound silences, entire constellations of thought and feeling locked away for fear of ridicule or misunderstanding. This tendency is hardly an indictment of character. In fact, it is a testament to our adaptability. Social life is, after all, a delicate ecosystem, and the ability to read a room, to modulate our expression, is a survival skill. The problems arise when the mask becomes permanent, when the performance is no longer a tool, but a prison. What do we sacrifice on the altar of likability? Too often, it is the most magical, magnetic parts of ourselves. Those strange passions, observations, and small, luminous moments of insight that make us uniquely who we are. In hiding our light, we dim not just our own experience, but also deprive the world of something rare and beautiful. Consider the friend who loves astronomy but never mentions it, afraid to bore the group with nerdy talk, or the colleague who writes poetry at night yet never shares a single line, worried it would seem pretentious. These fragments, these secret gardens, could be the very things that inspire connection, that spark admiration or curiosity in others. When we keep our most wondrous aspects hidden, we not only limit what others can see, we also risk losing sight of them ourselves. The self we present to the world, repeated day after day, becomes the self we start to believe in. Before long, the distance between who we are and who we show grows so vast that returning feels impossible. Ironically, in our attempt to be universally likable, we may become less interesting, less memorable, less real. Surface-level harmony comes at the expense of genuine connection. People are drawn to authenticity, to those flashes of individuality that resonate with their own hidden depths. The very traits we fear will alienate may in fact be the ones that inspire love. Not despite, but because of their uniqueness. There is a magnetism in vulnerability, a kind of gravity in the courage to be candid. When someone reveals a part of themselves that is raw or strange or different, it gives permission for others to do the same. This is the alchemy of true relationship. The slow unveiling, the reciprocal risk-taking, the mutual discovery of selves. To understand why we hide, we must acknowledge the real risks involved. The modern world can be harsh, and the judgment of others, whether online or in person, can be swift and unforgiving. Vulnerability is often met with misunderstanding, mockery, or even malice. For those who have experienced rejection or ridicule, the instinct to shield oneself becomes second nature. Yet the cost of hiding is cumulative. Over time, the habit of suppression can lead to a sense of emptiness, of living life at a remove. We may find ourselves surrounded by people, yet fundamentally alone, unseen, unknown, untouched at our core. The safety we seek by hiding is at best a temporary reprieve. True safety, the kind that nourishes and sustains, comes not from universal approval, but from deep, authentic connection. And connection is only possible when we allow ourselves to be truly seen. What if, instead of hiding, we chose to let ourselves be known? Not recklessly, not all at once, but gently and intentionally. What if we released, little by little, those locked away pieces, the odd humor, the wild ideas, the quiet griefs and dazzling joys, into the open air? To do so is an act of courage, but it is also an act of generosity. When you show someone who you are, you invite them to do the same. You say, in effect, it's safe here. You can be yourself. In that shared space, something new becomes possible. Friendship, trust, love, not the conditional kind built on illusion, but the sturdy, lasting kind that grows from truth. It is tempting to believe that only those closest to us deserve this access, but often it is with strangers that our most authentic selves find unexpected resonance. A passing conversation, a shared glance, a random act of openness can spark transformation on both ends. The world is full of people yearning for realness, for a reminder that they are not alone in their strangeness or beauty. Of course, there will be moments when our authenticity is not met with understanding, but the risk of rejection is a small price to pay compared to the slow erosion of self that comes from constant concealment. To hide your light is to deny its very purpose. The qualities that set you apart are not flaws to be managed, but gifts to be offered. In sharing them, you may light the way for someone else, or at the very least, illuminate your own path. If you have spent years hiding, it is never too late to return. The way back to yourself begins with small acts, a truth spoken, a passion pursued, a boundary asserted. Each act of self-revelation builds confidence, weaving together the fragments of self that have long been scattered. The world does not need another polished mask. It needs the wild, radiant truth of who you are. Let your light be seen. In doing so, you may just find the acceptance you've longed for, not from the crowd, but from yourself. In a culture that profits from our conformity and rewards our silence, authenticity becomes an act of quiet rebellion. Show who you are. Reveal what is magical, magnetic, strange, and beautiful within you. It is not only okay, it is essential. When we hide who we are, we risk losing ourselves, perhaps forever. But when we dare to be seen, we create the possibility of genuine connection, of love that meets us exactly where we are. The world is waiting, not for your perfection, but for your truth. So, step into the light. Let yourself be known. That is where the real magic begins.